Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the ordinary meeting of council held in the council chambers on Wednesday, the 22nd of July 2020 at 2:30 p.m. I will apologise, we're running 5 minutes late. We've had a couple of IT issues. Present at the meeting today, we have Councillor Andrew Hope, the Mayor, Councillor Ken Cutmore, Councillor Doug Hawkins, Councillor Virginia Black, Councillor Paul Moles, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Ian Lobsey, and Councillor Rob Webster. In attendance, we also have Joanne Stangston, the General Manager, Donna Rosley, the Director of Environmental and Economic Development Services, and Nathan Skelly, Director of Engineering Services. And may I welcome Nathan to his first council meeting. And he's a country boy and comes to us from the bush, and we welcome you on board. Okay, audio recordings of the meeting. Consistent with section 747A of the Local Government Act 1993 and the Public Health COVID-19 Gatherings, Order 2020, this meeting of Liverpool Plains Shire Council is being held online with social distancing using audio-visual links. And I'd like to very much say I'm glad to see all the councillors back in the room and we can have a proper conversation. It's good to see. As with the ordinary meeting conducted in person, Council's Code of Meeting Practice applies to today's proceedings. A webcast of this meeting will be published to Council's website at lpsc.newsouthwales.gov.au so that it's available for viewing by the members of the public. And for the members of the public, this layout you see today is brand new and we're having a test run, so please be patient if there's any things that don't quite work. While section 747A of the Act and the Public Health Order remain in force, Council will not be facilitating a public forum. During this period, members of the public can still provide feedback on matters being considered by Council by providing submissions and comment via email. For further information about Council's meetings, please visit Council's website at lpsc.newsouthwales.gov.au. If we could all be standing for the acknowledgement of country and prayer. And now we're all back in the room. I might hand this over to one of the councillors and I'll give it to Councillor Webster.
Acknowledgement of country. Today we gather on the land of the Kamilaroi Nation. We therefore need to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of this land. We also pay our respects to the Aboriginal elders, both past and present, and further extend that respect to other adults who have joined us today. Lord, we ask that you watch over this council, guide us in our deliberations and decisions for the betterment of all the people of our Shire and Australia.
Thank you, Councillor Webster. The next item on the agenda is apologies and applications for leave of absence by councillors. As we're all here, there will be none of those. Next item is the confirmation of the minutes of Council's ordinary meeting. Is somebody happy to move those, please? Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. Did I get who was first? Sorry, Councillor Hawkins. Seconded by Councillor Black. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Isn't this easier when we can see everybody? Item 4, disclosures of interest. I will declare my own first. I have an interest in the confidential matter of the Crawford DA, as my company has done some work for Crawford's in the signage area, so I'll be disclosing an interest and will not be participating in that particular motion in confidential. Are there any other disclosures of interest?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Hawkins. As everyone's aware, I'm chair of the Kokoda Walkway Committee. At one of our functions, there was a donation or a promise of a donation made by Crawford's to the Kokoda Committee that was never ever forthcoming. But I just want to declare that was on the table, but it's never been completed and no money was ever given to the Kokoda Committee from that company.
Thank you, Councillor Hawkins. Is there any further disclosures of interest? Okay, the next item on the agenda is the mayoral minute. I'll put that item forward as the mayoral minute for the month. I'll move. Do we have a second? Thank you, Councillor Black. Any questions or comments on the mayoral minute? Councillor Miles.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to confirm whether it's June or July's, they're all down as June, so just like to confirm whether that's a report for June or for this month. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Councillor Miles, it is a typo. It's a report for June. They're done a month behind, not a month in advance. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is item 6.1, correspondence and petitions. Somebody happy to move the correspondence and petitions? Thank you, Councillor Lofty. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Hawkins. Do you wish to speak to it, Councillor Lofty?
I just
You wish to speak to it, Councillor Hawkins? Any questions, comments or queries? Not, now put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is 7.1, the Executive Area Works Report. There is a recommendation that Council receive and note the Executive Area Works Report. Is somebody happy to move the report? Thank you, Councillor Black. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Miles. Do you wish to speak to the report, Councillor Black?
I need to say that once again, it's very pleasing to see that there's been significant amount of activities that occurred over the last month in that area. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Do you wish to speak to the report, Councillor Miles?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Any questions, comments from the councillors? If not, now put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the investments for June 2020, and there's a recommendation that council receive and note the investments for June 2020. I'd like to make a comment to say it's really sad to see those interest rates keep on dropping, but it's out of control. So now put the motion. Sorry, somebody move it. Thank you, Councillor Miles. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Lobsey. Do you wish to speak to it, Councillor Miles?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Lobsey?
No, thank you.
Any questions, comments from the other councillors? If not, now put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.3 is the adoption of the long-term financial plan 2020-2030. There is a recommendation pursuant to section 403 of the Local Government Act 1993. Council adopt the draft long-term financial plan 2020-2030 contained in Annex 1. Is somebody happy to move that motion as it stands? Councillor Lozzie. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Black. Do you wish to speak to it, Councillor Lozzie?
I just say that we've got to think very carefully about this because our financial future depends on some improvement.
Thank you, Councillor. Do you wish to speak to it, Councillor Black?
Just a bit of clarification. Are we voting on a particular scenario here?
Yes, good question.
No, Councillor Black, we are not. We are voting on adopting the long-term financial plan, and the scenarios will come back to council at a later date through workshopping.
Thank you.
So you're just adopting the plan in general.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments on the long-term financial plan? Not, and now put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I now declare the motion Councillor Cutman, how do you vote? Councillor Hawkins, how do you vote?
For it.
Councillor Miles, how do you vote?
In favour?
Councillor Webster, how do you vote?
I'm against.
And Councillor Lobsey and Councillor Black moved it, so I now declare, and I am voting in favour of it, so I now declare the motion carried 6-1. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is 7.4, appointment of designated persons. There is a three-part recommendation. The first part, note that pursuant to clause 4.8A and V of the Code of Conduct, the General Manager and Director of Engineering Services are designated persons. For members of the community that listens, that means that the General Manager and the Director of Engineering Services are appointed positions by Council. 2, pursuant to the clause 4.8C of the Code of Conduct, identify the following positions in Council organisational structure as designated persons. A, Director of Environmental and Economic Development Services. B, Executive Manager of Corporate Services. C, Executive Manager of Finance. D, Executive Manager of People and Culture. E, Manager of Regulatory and Property Services. F, Manager of Water Services. G, Manager of Works and Assets. H, Senior Town Planner. I, Town Planner. J, Compliance Officer. K, Purchasing Officer. So that is the list of positions in council that are designated as sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied here, as designated persons, basically for the members of the community listening, this is just a governance issue for council, making sure that people that sit in positions in council are held accountable to the codes of conduct, purchasing code, and all this thing. So it's an update of a policy to make sure we do everything properly. Part 3 of it is pursuant to clause 4.8D of the Code of Conduct, identify the Audit and Risk and Improvement Committee as a council, as a committee of council whose members are designated persons. So the Audit and Risk Committee is made up of 3 independent members of the public and 2 councillors, and they come under this as they have intricate knowledge of what's going on in the business and are putting recommendations forward for council. So it's a good list to show that we're doing our homework and tidying our house. So I now put the motion 1 to 3, so we're happy to move it. Thank you, Councillor Councillor Hawkins and Councillor Miles. Do you wish to speak to it, Councillor Hawkins?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Wish to speak to it, Councillor Miles?
Just to say thank you for the clarification in the audit risk section. That's all I have to know. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No worries, thank you, Councillor Miles. Any further questions or comments? If not, I now put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.5, Environmental Economic Development Services Report. There is a recommendation that council receive and note the report. Somebody happy to move that, one of the councillors? Thank you, Councillor Hawkins. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Webster. Do you wish to speak to it, Councillor Hawkins?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Do you wish to speak to it, Councillor Webster?
Only just, thanks, Mr. Mayor, just a comment on the capital works program. That I just wonder whether there's about 5 or 6 projects that are completed and we've moved into a new year. I just wonder whether they can be taken off the list. We just have available the ones that are actually ongoing or to be completed.
Thank you, Councillor Webster. I just had a nod from the director saying that will happen, so thank you very much. Any further questions or comments on the report? If not, I now put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.6, the Recreation Strategy Showground Precinct Stage 1. Before I put this report, I would just like to thank the management team here, and particularly Ian George and his team for getting more than 10% of the total grant money for the whole state brought into our shire, some $2.4 million to go towards our newly adopted strategy on redeveloping our showgrounds in those areas. It's an outstanding effort, and our community will be far better positioned because of the hard work. So I would like to make sure that team is aware.
Happy to move it, Mr.
Councillor
Mayor.
very happy. Thank you, Councillor Miles. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Do you wish to speak to it, Councillor Miles?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just exactly what you just said.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak to it, Councillor Black?
Concur with what's been said.
Any further questions, comments or queries? I will make a note to the public that we had a meeting with the user groups over there that was very, very productive and very, very good, and all the user groups are quite pleased and on board with the plan to move forward. And I'm looking forward to our new director, Nathan, delivering it for us. So the challenge is up. Okay, the next item is, I declare that motion carried unanimously. Next item is 7.7. And there is a public art strategy implementation update. And I'd like to thank Andrew Ballard for his work in this space and facilitating a meeting with the councillors the other day for what can be a difficult topic at times. So there's a recommendation to receive and note the report, and 2, to receive a further report on the establishment of a public art advisory group to be submitted to the August 2020 ordinary meeting. Before I ask a councillor to move this, I'd just like to say that council has put some money aside in its budget this year to start a public art strategy with the aim to making our towns and our CBDs more attractive and become a bit of a tourist attraction. And I think it's a great initiative, and I look forward to seeing it rolled out. So if we would have a councillor who would like to move this. Thank you, Councillor Hawkins. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Lomsey. Do you wish to speak to it, Councillor Hawkins?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Lomsey?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Any councillors got any further questions or comments? If not, I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously, and we're all waiting with bated breath to see what we end up with. Item 7.8, summary of the heritage activities 2019-2020. So the members of the public that are listening, council has a heritage fund every year that we put some money into, and people doing different heritage projects around the town can apply for co-contribution to help deliver it, and it's been a very successful program for for many, many years, and it's nice to see another big list again this year. So there's a two-part recommendation to receive, first one is to receive and note the report, and the second one is to formally adopt the Liverpool Plains Shire Council Heritage Strategy 2020-2023 as presented and submit to the New South Wales Office of Environment and Heritage. Do I have a mover of that one, please? Thank you, Councillor Miles. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Hawkins. Do you wish to speak to it, Councillor Miles?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Hawkins?
No, Mr Mayor.
Any questions, comments, queries from the councillors? If not, now put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Right, the next item is 7.9, request for local government area boundary adjustment. I will speak to this because the heading could worry some residents. Council from time to time identifies small pockets of land that are either inaccessible on another shire's boundary with a road to nowhere, just some obscure little bits that were never picked up when mergers happened many years ago, and from time to time we tidy them up. This is another one of those. It has a road access from Tamworth Regional Council and has no road links to our own shire. So getting up there to maintain the road is almost impossible. So it just makes good housekeeping to move this small parcel of land into the neighbouring shire and tidy up some problems not only for the landholder but for council. So again, good to see these little things getting tidied up. There's a two-part recommendation. The one is agrees to the transfer of approximately 119 hectares of land owned by GJ and KP Gilbert from the Liverpool Plains Shire Council local area into the Tamworth Regional Council local government area. And two, gives notice of its decision to Tamworth Regional Council and the property owner. So somebody happy to move that report? Thank you, Councillor Black. Thank you, Councillor Cutmore. Do you wish to speak to it, Councillor Black?
No, thank you.
Councillor Cutmore?
No.
Any councillors have any questions or comments or want to know where it is? We're all happy. Now put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.10 is the Works and Assets Progress Update for July 2020. There is a recommendation that council receive and note the Engineering Services Monthly Report. Just before I put this report, I'm going to put Nathan on the spot and give him a couple of minutes to introduce himself to the community, and then we'll put his report up. So Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So my background is from Blamey near Orange and Bathurst. I've got a lot of experience in roads and stormwater and parks and gardens. So coming here with rather large rural road network is something that interests me, that's for sure. And certainly looking forward to delivering all I can for the community.
Thank you, Nathan. I believe you bring your wife and you're located here, so two more residents. Three more and a child. Excellent. Excellent. Great news. How much you more increase your population? Because now I've put the recommendation that council receive and note the Engineering Services Monthly Report, Nathan's first report. Thank you, Councillor Black. Do we have a second? Thank you, Councillor Hawkins. Do you wish to speak to the report, Councillor Black?
Simply to say it's good to see all the work that you've got ahead of you, and it's very clearly marked out. Thank you.
Do you wish to speak to the report, Councillor Hawkins?
No, Mr Mayor.
Any councillors have any further questions, comments or query on the works report? Councillor Webster.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, just from our conversations this morning, just with regard to basketball, netball courts and the tennis courts in Miller Parade, obviously, you know, we've still got a little bit of work to do there, re tenders and qualification re the actual old building on Miller Parade. So whether that can get achieved, that project can start in August, got to be a surprise.
Yeah, Councillor Webster, I think what we probably need to do is bring the councillors together and have a little bit of a workshop as soon as we can around that and get some clarity so that when we go out to the community, we all know what's happening. So I'll talk to the General Manager and we'll organise that. There's no further questions or comments or queries. I'll now put the report. All those in favour? Carried unanimously.
I think we should go over as a council group again and have a look.
Yeah, absolutely, Councillor Lobson. We'll all go over as a group and we'll make sure we get our head around what's happening there. And again, Nathan, welcome. Okay, the next item is the water supply status report. There's a recommendation to receive and note the Director of Engineering Services water supply status report. So I'll be happy to move the water supply status report. Thank you, councillor Hawkins. Thank you, councillor Cutmore. Do you wish to speak to it, councillor Hawkins?
No, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Cutmore.
Yeah, I just didn't ask the question, already, through the Nathan, the Springridge quality of water, it's never had salt before, why is it an issue now?
Through you, Madam Chair, I'll have to take that question notice, I'm sorry, I'll have to get back to that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And, no further questions or queries. I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. And we'll get back to the councillors with why there's a salinity in that water. I dare say probably drought, but let's find out. Maybe. Item 7.12, road widening of Merrywall Road, lot 37 DP 1130916. There is a recommendation that council approve the placing of council seal on all documents relating to the subdivision of lot 37 DP 1130916. And 2, approve the sale of the land through request for offers and the placing of a council seal on all documents relating to the sale of the land. So this is another one of the tidy up of the small parcels of land that was on our list that we're moving forward to get rid of. So again, great to see another one up, potentially getting ready for sale. Yeah, somebody asked, move those motions 1 and 2. Thank you, councillor Hawkins. Thank you, councillor Black. Do you wish to speak to it, councillor Hawkins?
No, Mr Mayor.
Wish to speak to it, councillor Black?
No, thank you, Mr
Any
Mayor.
questions or comments or queries? I'll ask for a show of hands as we're disposing of an asset. So all those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 7.13 Waste Management Strategy Resources for Regions Funding. There is a recommendation endorse applying for the maximum possible grant from Resources for Regions to be expended on the delivery of the waste management strategy. Just for the members of the public, the missing the maximum amount available is 1.5 million. And this to be put towards our waste strategy. So I'll ask if somebody happy to move this recommendation as it stands. Thank you, councillor Hawkins. Do I have a second? Thank you, councillor Cutmore. Do you wish to speak to it, councillor Hawkins?
No, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Hawkins. Do you wish to speak to it, councillor Cutmore?
No, right, thank you.
Thank you, councillor Cutmore. Just for members of the community, council adopted a waste management strategy back in 2018, and this is the start of rolling the project out and getting some grant funding to fund it, so we take the impost off the ratepayers' bottom line. You know, it's not a fancy thing, waste for the community. They don't look at it as a basketball or a netball court, but when you get these operations right, the bottom line savings to council can be quite significant and make a difference. So it's more of an economic rationale and getting things right for the future of the community. And looking forward to seeing it rolled out. So now put the motion, all those in favour.
Can I just speak to that?
Oh, sorry, you wish to speak to it, councillor?
I'd like to speak against it, Mr Mayor. I have a bit of a concern. My understanding of this Resources for Region funding is to go towards communities that are impacted by mining. And to me, using it for this particular area it goes against the goodwill and the good faith of governments who are giving money to the community. There's actually an opportunity for $450,000 of that to go to the community and different programs from anything from $100,000 upwards. I just feel that this way I see where council's motives are to sort of supplement general fund, but I don't believe doing it this way is fair to the community. And waste, I'm not sure, reading the document, I'm not sure waste rehabilitation sort of would qualify for the spend of this money. I think it should go towards infrastructure. I'm not sure rehabilitating of tips would actually qualify, but I'm voting against it anyway.
Thank you, councillor Webster. Any further questions or comments, queries, councillor Black?
Just in response to councillor Webster, there is in this the body of this document issues and comments, which says it needs to be noted that community groups are also able to put in applications for this funding for community programs. And this is capped at a total of $300,000 of the grant. it is possible for submissions to be made, reducing council's total grant for the waste management strategy to $1,203,812.
Thank you, councillor Black. Any further questions, comments or queries? Councillor Miles.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd also like to speak in favour of it. I think you've only got to go back through the recent projects that have been delivered to the community over the last 12, 18 months. A lot of boxes being ticked. This is one that the whole of the Shire, every resident will benefit from. So I believe the fact that it's going across the whole of Shire, the rates may still have to go up slightly, I don't know, because we haven't seen that yet, it hasn't been done, but certainly this will reduce the bottom line for council to have to push it onto the ratepayer. So I'm totally in favour of it, and I think every ratepayer would rather see this big project be done and not have their rates up too much, than have little projects that benefit smaller groups. And I don't mean to be derogative to our smaller groups. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Miles. Any further questions, comments or queries? Not, I now put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Okay, councillor Cutmore, how do you vote?
In favour.
Councillor Hawkins, how do you vote?
In favour.
Councillor Black, how do you vote?
In favour.
Councillor Miles, how do you
In
vote?
favour, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Lopsy, how do you vote?
In favour, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Webster, how do you vote?
Against.
And I myself vote in favour. I declare the motion carried 6-1. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is 7.14, the proposed Quindike Library upgrade presentation to council on the 16th of July 2020. And before I put this out for a council to move it, I'd like to thank the management team and particularly I'd like to thank the management team. They engaged a consulting firm to come in and give council drawings right down to the colours inside the building, the equipment, and it's one of the best presentations I've seen in a long time, so that when we go out there as councillors, we can actually tell people in the community it's going to look like this and it's going to be like that. And we've been absolutely massively successful in applying for and bringing grant money in there, so there is absolutely no initial upfront cost of the ratepayer in delivering this entire project, and I think it will change the landscape of our main street. And I'm quite looking forward after my retirement to seeing it roll out. So again, so the Hill Lockhart architects did it for us, and they came and presented it to council, and I've got to say it was amazing, guys. So just before I open the floor, I'll ask for somebody to move the recommendation. Councillor.
On the CM.
Councillor Miles. Councillor Miles, you wish to speak to him.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, as you know, I'm quite passionate about this, sitting on the Central Northern Regional Libraries. It's been on the books for a while. A lot of community consultations have been taking place. There's been a lot of to-ing and fro-ing about whether it's just about reading books, and it's not about just reading books. It's about a hub for the community. It is going to brighten our main street up. It is going to be there for a long period of time. And there's lots more activities and a lot more engagement with the children, adults even, book reading, electronic books, and things like this. I'm just very passionate that this should go ahead, and I'm very, very pleased to see the latest designs. I know the first designs we had was well out of the scope of our financial abilities, and to see this funding come through, I can only commend the staff for the efforts they have put in here to get this up and running and to get the full funding eventually. So I'm really looking forward to it being up and coming, and I'm really hoping whoever the person was that was going to tie them to the tree, self to the tree, realises what a great project this is and comes along on the ride with us. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Press your button, Paul. Councillor Miles, can you press your...
Sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Miles, and I gather you're impressed and excited to that. Councillor Lopsy, do you wish to speak to it?
Only to say that that was one of the most complete and accurate presentations we've ever seen from Hill Lockhart, right down to the colour of the fabric and everything else. So yes, no, I'm impressed with the concept.
Thank you. Press your button for me, councillor Lockie. Thank you, councillor Lockie. Is there any further questions, comments or queries? Councillor Webster.
Yeah, just probably a question more than anything, Mr Mayor, just in regard to, has management sort of put in place a temporary home for the library? Because obviously we probably got 4 to 6 months of build. Are we sort of just moving them across the street somewhere?
That'll be subject to a further, sorry, councillor Webster, that'll be subject to a further report to council once we have the exact building specifications and timelines and agree to go to tender, and then what's the estimated timelines from the tender. So absolutely, we'll have an opportunity to review those works well out.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments on the library? If not, now put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next item is delegates report, and there is none. Item 9, notice of motions, questions with notice of motion to Queensland. Sorry, 9.1 is a notice of motion, Queensland Hunter Gas Pipeline. It's a notice of motion put up by Councillor Black, and it reads, number 1, no community concerns regarding the current path of the Queensland Hunter Gas Pipeline will impact on Council's Zone 1 water supply. 2, we the council body acknowledge the actions currently undertaken by the GM and the Mayor of LPSC to facilitate dialogue with the Queensland Hunter Gas, the affected landholders and councillors within LPSC community in terms of water security and the options of possible alternate routes for the gas pipeline. So as it's your motion, Councillor Black, you will move it and I'll get a seconder and then I'll ask you to speak to it. Do we have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Lottie. Do you wish to speak to the motion, Councillor Black?
I do. Okay, firstly, I'd like to thank all of those in our community that have raised their concerns over the security of our Tyne water, especially the affected landholders for their positive contribution to the meetings that have been held to date with Queensland Hunter Gas. Firstly, let me say that we as a council cannot interfere in the Hunter Gas Pipeline project, as it is a state government matter. But what we can do is ensure that the concerns of our community are heard, and that we as the governing body of LPSC do all things that are right to ensure due diligence has been observed in terms of ensuring our Tyne water security. And so, on that note, I wish to advise the community and affected landholders that on the 18th of July 2020, thanks to the GM, Joanne Sangster, for her organising, Councillor Moles, Councillor Lopsy, Councillor Hawkins and myself had a teleconference with Mr. Stephen O'Donoghue from the Department of Primary Industry and Environment. Now, Stephen is in charge of all things relating to gas, to pipelines, to mining projects, to coal projects, and power stations, to name but a few. We discussed the Hunter Gas project regarding conditions of approval and development consent. And what was made very, very clear to us is that the Queensland Hunter Gas project is a state significant project, and its status is critical in terms of economic benefits for New South Wales. Therefore, there is no turning back on this project. We spoke at length regarding the security of our water and the possibility of rewriting the actual pipeline. Stephen stated that there would be flexibility through the 200-metre corridor, and that biosecurity requires very high compliance on the condition of approval. He discussed with us the Act, the regulations and standards which apply to gas pipelines, which are in fact extremely stringent, and also the compliance and reporting management strategy, which must be adhered to, and the significant time required to ensure that compliance, and in particular in the biosecurity area. He has stated that he is more than willing to come to Quirindi to meet with the affected landholders to discuss the many aspects of the project, with the hope of dispelling some of the genuine concerns that landholders have regarding this pipeline. So may I respectfully suggest that this opportunity for further dialogue with our affected landholders and that the GM arrange a suitable date for such a meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Black. Do you wish to speak to councillor Lotzi?
Just to add that, yes, it is a state significant proposal. We have no power in the decision making, but we need to do all we can to protect our water and to support our ratepayers.
Thank you, councillor. Does anybody else wish to speak to this? Thank you, councillor Miles.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, councillor Black, for your report just now. A great presentation and 100% correct. However, I'm actually speaking against the motion that's actually here in front of this council at this moment. I disagree with councillor Black's comments in placing it in the water supply for the Quindai Township and farmland. I think by passing this motion, we're saying that we agree with that. There is no evidence today that this is in the water supply or is going to be in the water supply. It is proposed to run close to the water supply. I believe about 500 metres was mentioned. The first part of the motion suggests we agree with the community's concerns that it will impact on council's Zone 1 water supply. The discussions held with the DPIE representatives appear to disagree with this statement. They did in fact inform us that there's a pipeline that runs through the Prospect Dam that feeds Sydney water supply. And there has been no concerns and they don't have any concerns with it. So the discussions held with the DPIE representatives appear to disagree with this statement. I also disagree with the statement options of possible alternative routes for gas pipeline. These have been considered since 2008 and alternative routes bring with it same problems and alternative problems. And I believe alternative routes have been considered and to date not supported by the DPIE. So that's why I'm speaking against it, Mr Mayor. And with all respects to Councillor Black, I commend you for putting this up for discussion.
Thank you, councillor Miles.
Miles.
Thank you, councillor Miles. Any other councillors wish to speak for or against this motion? Councillor Webster.
Just, thanks, Mr Mayor. Yeah, just to support those previous comments, and I refer to the document 24th of October 2008 from Council. And to me, the 5 points raised there are very relevant today about ensuring protection of local infrastructure and consultation with landholders, plus a few other things. And to me, that those comments and those conditions still apply today.
Thank you, councillor Webster. Any other councillors wish to speak to this matter? Councillor Cudmore.
Yeah, no, my view is probably well known among the community. I sort of partially agree with Virginia Black about her motion, but as I say, we've just got to support the landowners. As Councillor Miles pointed out, that they've tried different, they've looked at different aspects of a different route. Well, have they or haven't they? They changed it from when it was, I think, originally in 2008 to now. Whether that's an indication of further things to come, we can't sort of look down the future path when gas may or may not turn up in the Liverpool Plains. But as a gas pipeline, we should, with everybody, we should look after our water supply. And you can say, they can say whatever they like about how it won't impact our water and it's all safe, and it's a bit like Stephen Donahue promising you this, that and the other. They really can't, because that's when they went through the application for a mining at Karuna, that, I think finally common sense made that you actually couldn't mine underground in a water supply. And this is a bit similar. They can say that the pipe won't affect your water, but they can't, all the experts can say what they like, but we just need to get the best outcome for our ratepayers, which is not, we go across the Black Soil Plains of where the route goes now. I think we just need to persevere with the powers along with our landowners about trying to get the best outcome for them and our town water.
Thank you, councillor Cutmore. If no further councillors would like, councillor Hawkins.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I'd just like to confirm that. I think that the council as a body have so far handled it well. They've initiated the meetings between each of the groups. But I agree that our water resource has to be protected, but I think the assurances that we have, as Virginia Black spoke about, have been put forward. And I agree with the project. I'm in favour of the project with the condition that the town water resources are protected.
Thank you, councillor Hawkins. Any further comments, Chris? If not, I'd just like to comment. Look, I think I was initially approached in the main street about this project, and the thing that concerned me from day one was the claim that the company wasn't prepared to negotiate. And I thought, duly as the mayor, that the community had the opportunity to see that they would negotiate. And as councillor Black pointed out, when our general manager ran the company, they were more than happy to negotiate. And we've certainly facilitated that negotiation here by using the council chambers and a couple of the council staff and those things to make sure that our landholders are being heard. From what I've seen in those meetings, I think there's a goodwill there from the company to negotiate with these landholders. But at the end of the day, that's a private negotiation between that company and the individual landowners, because there will be many different opinions depending on which landholder is affected and how they perceive that effect on their land. But I think I agree with councillor Black that facilitating those meetings here and allowing those groups to meet here and have our community concerns and give the councillors the opportunity to sit down and have a listen when those are going on. Information is very good for everybody. I too am supportive of the project, and I too would like to make sure that the town water is protected. I too believe from the science I've seen it is. But yeah, I think councils, I agree, council's doing its role here of facilitating those community concerns and creating a forum where they can talk that they otherwise didn't believe they had. So I think there's a long road for the company to go down to get to where they need to be. And I'm sure the state government and the community and all the different groups will have their input along the way. So yes, I think there's always a way forward. The best way is negotiation. So thank you. If there's no further comments or queries, I'll now put that motion as it stands. All those in favour? Against? So we have a 3-3 and I'm against, so I declare the motion failed. Thank you, councillors. Okay, being no further business, I'll now ask that the video recording be turned off, and I'll thank the community for looking in, and I'll get a motion to move into confidential.
So moved.
Thank you, councillor Miles. Did I see a hand down from councillor Lodge? Thank you. I didn't. Councillor Hawkins. All those